Hello students, as you are aware, the section A and section B of paper 1 are already covered by us. Paper 2 section A was also covered yesterday. Today we'll be covering section B of paper 2 and guiding us through the matter is none other than Shubhra Ranjan Ma'am. Today first we'll look at the analysis of the marks distribution in the section 2. So as you know, the maximum marks are covered in the India and the global centers of power as well as India and the global south. Ma'am, kindly guide us.
Yeah, so I believe that the students who have done the crash course may have really found themselves quite comfortable in sailing through because generally there has always been restlessness with respect to the paper 2 and especially part B because of its dynamic nature. But you will see that most of the questions were not just on expected lines, but the questions which we have asked in the test series, you can see almost every question is giving that reflection. So I'm sure you all must have done, and you see that around 65 marks questions are from India and the global south, and I believe that from the very beginning this trend has been there, and as now a lot of articles you must have seen coming on India and global south, plus India is going to hold G20 presidency and all. So even for next year, this topic will remain important. And I believe every year they ask question on UN system. NPT was very much expected.
Yes, ma'am.
Question.
Okay. So, ma'am, let's begin. The first question is, the peaceful coexistence remains the cornerstone of India's foreign policy.
Okay, so peaceful coexistence remains the cornerstone of India's foreign policy. So first of all, you should track the question is from which topic. So the question is from determinants. Fine. So there are various determinants of a foreign policy. Foreign policy does not operate in vacuum, and we can say that there can be geography, economy, culture plays a very prominent role. So when you talk about peaceful coexistence, you have a source of this in our culture. So if you talk about Panchashil, if you talk about India's position on nuclear issue, even after having nuclear weapon, we continue to believe in nuclear disarmament, and we have always gone for strengthening international law. We have been acting participant in United Nations and NAM, etc. So the governments may change, but the fundamentals remain. And despite ideological differences in the political parties, we see a continuity because that is coming from our culture. So this is how you could have answered it.
Moving to the next question, student, as you can see, this question has directly come from our test series. And any student who has done the holistic study and followed our test series will be able to sail through this question quite easily. So the question, discuss the ways and means to realize greater economic cooperation among the member states of South Asia.
Okay, so yeah, I think we have given similar question. So here you should have written first of all the importance of economic cooperation in South Asia. So you could have said that in terms of economy, it is least integrated. Then why do we require cooperation? Because you are suffering from poverty, you are suffering from numerous conventional and non-conventional challenges. Now to address it, what is the way forward? The way forward is greater economic cooperation. So with this idea in itself, SARC was conceptualized. The very idea of regional organization is to promote trade. Then we have gone for SAFTA. Unfortunately, because of Pakistan, SAFTA has not materialized. Then India has also taken some sub-regional initiatives like BBIN, and then intra-regional initiatives like BIMSTEC also, after which discuss the ways and means. So you should know what is the reason. The reason, once you know the reason, you can discuss the ways and means. The reason is protectionist economies. The reason is lack of transport facilities, and lack of enough trust among the countries. So if you will address the causes, and obviously the elephant in the room, or the camel, as C. Raja Mohan says, that it is Pakistan which slows down the caravan of SARC. So India-Pakistan relations you could have addressed.
Next, discuss the steps required to realize hydro cooperation between India and Bangladesh.
Then you can write what is the importance. I have often cited that Mark Twain has said that whiskey is to drink, but water is to fight. Fine. So fighting for water or hydropolitics is both a phenomena of interstate and intrastate politics, be it South Asia or other regions, Middle East, etc. And then how hydropolitics has shaped one of, you should always move from general to particular. So hydropolitics has shaped India's relations with the neighbors in general and Bangladesh in particular, because that is an agriculture dependent country. So you could have given a historical view that we share 54 waters, and we have an agreement primarily on Ganga water, and a partial agreement on Tista. And Bangladesh looks forward for Tista, but because we also have agrarian economy, we also have federal structure, so there are some working problems towards the final resolution of Tista water as expected. So we are in other way, we are also finding solutions, like during Sheikh Hasina's visit, there was an agreement on sharing of Kushiara water. And many experts, I believe, Ramaswamy Iyer and others, they have always held that disputes do not arise when water flows freely. So it is suggested that no more further construction, and let the free flow of water, and government of India can take government of Bangladesh into confidence and find a way out. Government of Bangladesh has also suggested, like Mamata Banerjee has suggested, that we can give from Torsa, water from Torsa river. You could have mentioned that. And then we can work together at a broader level, and see that till water issue is not resolved, how we can address some of the genuine concerns of our neighbor, which has really been quite, you can say, sensitive to India's concerns on terrorism, etc.
Now, ma'am, explain the significance of Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement for India-US strategic relations.
Since it's a short question, you could have just given the facts that BECA came into existence in 2020, and this is one of the 4 foundational agreements which is necessary. So India, what is its importance for a strategic partnership? Because the strongest pillar is defense, and full-fledged defense cooperation can happen only when India signed these agreements. So when India signs this agreement, it gives access to geospatial intelligence, I believe, that helps in developing India's reconnaissance capacity. It gives real substance to Indo-Pacific idea and cooperation. It will help in developing greater interoperability and enhancing India's technology access to data. So this is the factual question, and you should be writing it.
Next is discuss the role of public diplomacy in enhancement of global standing.
Yeah, so first of all, you should be defining what is public diplomacy. So public diplomacy is when the governments, they are trying to engage with the general public. If you had happened to see Ministry of External Affairs website, they have a public diplomacy division, and there they publish the lectures of Indian ambassador, etc. And it's an old idea. It is an old idea. It is very much there in US, and you have to go for greater people to people. You can call it as a part of track to diplomacy. And here now public diplomacy has helped India because maybe there are some governments with which we may not have much formal relationship, but if you track the public and if you can convince the public, that helps as a force multiplier. It helps in convincing their governments, and mostly in the democratic countries public diplomacy does really help, and we have gone for a very constructive type of public diplomacy. One of the very good example of public diplomacy is India's Connect Central Asia policy, where we have emphasized on people-to-people contact. Another example is Act East policy, which also focus on connectivity, culture. So part of India's soft power. There are various dimensions you could have written.
Moving on to the next question. As you can see, this also comes directly from our test series. So discuss the relevance of the demand for the new international economic order in the era of globalization.
Yeah, they are repeatedly asking this question. So define new international economic order. It was a proposal by NAM countries. They put it at the platform of UN General Assembly after Jewish Arab crisis and use of oil diplomacy. Then this became a regular feature at UNCTAD platform, and India being a member of G77, India has always advanced. The fundamental idea or the theoretical idea comes from dependency theory of the Latin American scholars, which believe that only by having readjustment in the pricing of the manufactured and the raw materials, we can address the poverty of the global south. And then they suggest to impose more responsibility on the MNCs and sustainable use of the resources with limited harm to the environment, and also providing benefits to the weaker sections. So now how it becomes relevant. So it's a talk in 70s and it has not been successful, but it is still important because globalization has increased the divide. So obviously, but the idea remains important. But at that point of time, it had a very socialistic programs. I don't think those socialistic programs can be implemented. And you could have said that in the form of Doha Declaration, we can remodify the idea, because take the idea is addressing the problems of global south.
Moving on, again, our question has been repeated. Critically examine the major factors responsible for a turmoil in the trajectory of Indian foreign policy in the post-Cold War period.
So you should have written, first of all, what is the purpose of foreign policy? Foreign policy is about national interest. But then why there is a turnaround? Because foreign policies do not operate in vacuum. And then globalization, post-Cold War era, domestic and international politics gets mixed. So this major turnaround has been expressed by C. Raja Mohan and his book that has become a phrase, Crossing the Rubicon. So turnaround is India's shifting greater priority to the West. We are more confident in dealing with the West Asia and dehyphenation of India's West Asia policy from Pakistan. And then engagement with Southeast Asia in the form of one of the most successful initiative, Look East policy, giving primacy to economic diplomacy, taking up greater responsibility because globalization has also benefited India. So India as a net security provider, and Prime Minister Modi has number of times held that we have come out of the hesitations of the past. And S. Jaishankar has also mentioned that the present government has gone, and especially Prime Minister Modi has gone for de-idealization of India's foreign policy. And so when the government initially came, that time the term fast track diplomacy had become the buzzword. So these ideas could have been written.
And should we also mention Russia's diminishing prospect in this question?
Yeah, this is a very generic question. What are the major factors? Major factors responsible for turnaround is obviously disintegration of USSR, the new economic policy which India has adopted, India's growth, India's change in the economic model, then new type of threats, emergence of complex interdependence, these type of things you have written.
Moving on, discuss the reasons behind India's refusal to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
So you could have discussed what is NPT, what are its pillar, just give the idea of the current events like 10th NPT review conference has happened, and NPT has been the foundational principle of global nuclear proliferation, non-proliferation architecture, but the 10th review says that the architecture is crumbling, and India's arguments have from the very beginning is that it's a discriminatory treaty. It creates a work of haves and have-nots, and it has the disarmament pillar is very weak, and India has always favored time-bound comprehensive nuclear disarmament. So these are main criticisms. But you could have also written that after Indo-US Civil Nuclear Agreement, we are almost following the norms of NPT.
Moving on, students, as you can see again, that same question and similar questions have appeared in the mains test series, as well as in our test series, as well as in mains paper. So what are the main drivers of India-Japan strategic and global partnership?
Obviously, India-Japan strategic global partnership. From the very beginning, we had good relations, but in the end of Cold War, this first of all, around year 2000, we have entered into global partnership, and then by 2006 onwards, it has become a strategic. And then under Modi, by 2014, it became a special strategic partnership. And normally it is believed that China is the factor, but I will say that there are multiple factors. For example, India's improved relations with US is a factor. The opening of Indian economy is a factor. India's growing ambitions in Asia and Africa, India's location is a factor, and China, the joint vision of Indo-Pacific. You could have also written about the choices of the leadership. So there have been multiple factors behind this. The common threat, the scope for common actions, and a common strategic view with respect to Asia Pacific. So free and open. So our strategic vision is same. Our strategic partners are quite same. We do not have any history of, you can say, we do not have any bogey of not good relations. So don't overemphasize on China factor.
Moving on, what are the implications of Look East policy on the northeastern region of India?
So you could have written signature initiative of Government of India starting with Narasimha Rao, and then under Bajpayee, Look East developed the domestic dimension, Look East through Northeast. So Northeast is not well connected. Because of that, there is poverty, and because of that, there is insurgency. And the best thing is Northeast is located next to Asia's most dynamic region. So how it can address poverty, unemployment, create the source for economic cooperation. And in this field, again, connectivity is the main theme. India has taken Kaladan multimodal project, Mekong Ganga cooperation, BIMSTEC, and India's special programs for CLMV countries. We are partners with ASEAN's visions. So many things could have been written here.
Students, you can also see that the question that appears in in the mains question is quite similar to what appears in our test series. So any student who has taken our test series will be able to sail through this question quite easily. Moving on to the next question, explain the factors which justify India's claim for the permanent seat at the UN Security Council.
So first of all, right, what is the importance of UN Security Council? The most important body, then two types of members, permanent and temporary members, and up till now only once that reform has happened, and now there is a need because the membership of General Assembly has increased. So India's membership claim and call for reforms, and why India should be in that particular seat. The strongest reason is that constitutionally speaking, we are committed for international law. We always believed in UN Charter. We have, it is because I think no other country has played the role in UN peacekeeping like India. So if UN has been relevant in its most important task, it is because of India's exceptional commitment towards UN peacekeeping. Then India as the largest democracy, India as a tolerant and this society, multicultural society, and as a responsible player in international aspects. India possesses nuclear weapons. India is a net security provider. So you could have given these reasons.
Moving on, how does India-Israel bilateral ties reflect the autonomy of India's foreign policy choices?
Because you can say that, first of all, right, importance of West Asia. Then you can say that for West Asia, India has always followed a policy of non-alignment. Now, this non-alignment policy has become a strategic autonomy. So, this strategic autonomy is evident in India's more confident and growing relations with Israel. So, we have started dehyphenating Israel and Palestinian issue. We are more confident, and then besides our own reasons, the geopolitical scenario is also changing. And today you can say that Western Quad has also emerged. So Israel has been getting more acceptability. So besides India's autonomy, it is one and the it's a very important factor. We also have other geopolitical factors and the changing geopolitical landscape that is happening in the West Asia.
Dear students, as you can see, not just one but two questions related to India-Israel were present in our test series. Moving on to the next question, discuss the consequences of illegal cross-border migration in India's northeast region.
To first of all define the strategic importance of India's northeast region, and then you can say the problems like insurgency, etc., and consequences of illegal cross-border migration. You can define what is illegal migration without possessing the valid passport, and the consequences is it creates pressure on the existing resources, and this has also given rise to the regional and secessionist sentiments like Assam movement is there, and which is not good for the wider multicultural and the secular fabric. So the consequences go beyond India's northeast region, and this should be addressed amicably. Addressing the concerns of Bangladesh, you could have given that we should be giving work permits, etc., to manage it in a more transparent manner.
Moving on, discuss India's vision of new world order in the 21st century.
So always you can say what is new world order. So new world order starts primarily with the end of Cold War. So what is India's vision? So there is nothing new as far as India's vision. We can say our approach reflects a lot of continuity, and at the time of independence also our vision was drawn from India's own culture and tradition. You could have mentioned the book How India Sees the World of former National Security Advisor Shyam Saran, and where India has never sought domination, India has searched for equality. More concrete shape you could have given in the form of Bandung principles, and even after the end of Cold War, we have continued, we have been supporting multilateralism. We want a world order which is conducive for growth of India as well as developing countries, as well as the global peace. We believe that countries should follow the rule of law. So despite not supporting Western resolutions against Russia, India has reiterated time and again that Russia should have been following the rule of law. So our overall vision is we believe in a cosmopolitan world order. We believe in a borderless world. We believe that international community has to come together and address the global problem. Prime Minister Modi from the platform of non-aligned movement has held that world today needs the new template for globalization. So these type of things you could have written.
Dear student, again you can see that the question that appeared in the mains, it's almost identical to the question that appeared in our test series. So with that, we have finished, ma'am, most of the question. Kindly guide the student that what should be the strategy for next year, how to approach the question paper.
See, I believe that study the basics. Your foundation should be very, very correct or very like you should have a command. Don't panic for current affairs. And since most of the students, they come from non-humanities background, it is very important to do a lot of practice. And developing answer writing is skill. I always believe in the concept of virtue ethics, that even if I tell what is the right answer, you won't be able to do until and unless you practice it again and again. So practice will give you the confidence, and I believe that we do, whether it is class or the test series, we do the things in a very comprehensive manner. And if you do nothing other than just following these things, you are not going to face any problem. So that's all for from my side, and wishing you all the best. And I hope many of you will come very soon for with your interview calls, and will give us an opportunity to guide you